Rangers supporters gather round because there is plenty happening in the blue half of Glasgow, and the atmosphere around Ibrox has that blend of excitement, nerves, and expectation that only this club can create. It feels like the kind of moment where every decision matters, every rumour suddenly seems believable, and every match carries the weight of an entire season. Rangers are not just playing football right now, they are fighting to rediscover consistency, identity, and the spark that the supporters demand every single year. There has been a lot of talk around the squad, especially when it comes to leadership. Rangers look like a team in need of figures who can command the dressing room, understand the magnitude of representing the club, and lift the level on the park through presence alone. Supporters constantly remember players who carried that responsibility with pride, athletes who stepped onto the pitch and looked like they belonged in blue since the moment they arrived. That is why certain names always return to conversation and why emotions run high when familiar faces become available, even if those returns never happen. The desire for leaders, voices, and experience remains clear. It feels like the team needs someone who arrives, sets standards, and gives younger players the confidence to express themselves. But while nostalgia flows, the club also needs to look forward, and looking forward is exactly what brings us to current rumours. Rangers have been linked with a young winger from Slovakia, a Nigerian talent named Sani Sulian. The pronunciation might vary, but the curiosity around him has grown quickly. He is 19 years of age, plays for Trenčín in the Slovak top flight, and is already building a reputation as a winger who loves to take on defenders, cut inside from the left, and create passing lanes into the final third. The statistics from this season are drawing attention: 12 appearances in the league, 3 goals, 2 assists, plus contributions in cup competitions. Nothing earth-shattering, but certainly impressive for someone of his age and stage of development. His profile stands out because of the way he plays. He is right-footed on the left wing, which immediately offers that inverted threat that can stretch defenses. Reports suggest he is quick in tight spaces, confident when carrying the ball, and comfortable threading passes into dangerous areas. There is something unpredictable about his style, the kind of rawness that some coaches love to refine. The interest from multiple clubs across Europe makes sense when you watch how he moves. It is not about perfection yet, it is about potential. Rangers supporters have seen this before, especially with players from less traditional markets who eventually adapted, improved, and became key assets. The concern, of course, is timing. There is always the debate about whether this is the right moment for a developing player rather than a ready-made presence. Supporters want both youth with potential and experience with authority. At 19 years old, Sulian would represent a gamble, not a guarantee. But in modern football, gambles are sometimes what separates stagnant teams from growing ones. And when the side has struggled to produce from wide areas this season, the possibility becomes harder to ignore. The current wingers have shown flashes, but lighting the spark permanently has been difficult. Goals arrive in narrow wins, tight margins, scraped score lines where the defensive structure somehow looks stronger statistically than performances would suggest. Meanwhile, chance creation has been inconsistent, and breaking down compact defenses has become a recurring challenge. Ask any Rangers supporter, and they will tell you that winning matches by 1 goal might be enough for points, but it is not enough for confidence. There is a desire to see dominance again, to see Ibrox roaring early, to see chances falling to forwards who are not isolated or starved of service. That is why recruitment links do not feel like rumors for entertainment. They feel like necessity. Wingers need to provide more. They need to stretch the pitch, win duels, create space for the fullbacks, and offer delivery that a striker can attack with conviction. At this moment, the side feels like it needs unpredictability, someone who forces defenders to panic rather than settle. And all of that brings us to the match day ahead. St Mirren are arriving at Ibrox, and the expectations are clear. 3 points, no excuses, and a performance that shows growth rather than survival. The last fixtures between these sides tell a story of mixed frustration and superiority. St Mirren have had their moments, surprising more than a few teams and even taking silverware recently, but historically they struggle inside the walls of Ibrox. Rangers have dominated this fixture across decades, with only a handful of defeats in more than 40 matches played in Govan. But football does not care about history once the whistle blows. If the levels drop, even for a moment, anything can happen, and that is exactly what Rangers cannot afford tonight. The visitors sit in the bottom half of the table, inconsistent but stubborn, capable of defending in numbers and countering with purpose. They have scored fewer than 20 goals, conceded more than 20, and remain unpredictable from week to week. Rangers, meanwhile, have the best defensive record in the league on paper, even if supporters still find themselves holding their breath every time the backline is tested. It is a strange contradiction, a defense that frustrates the fans, but a set of numbers that suggests discipline. Still, numbers alone do not win matches. The attack needs to function. The wide players need to show more. If the team can find that extra layer in the final third, this could be the night where momentum begins to build again. Inside the dressing room, the manager faces questions: rotation, fatigue from the last outing, the balance between physicality and creativity, who starts at wing, who supports the striker. These choices matter. One change in the system could redefine the rhythm of the game. The supporters can sense it. They want bravery, not hesitation. They want intensity from the first whistle. They want Ibrox to feel like home turf again, not merely a ground where points are chased nervously. Because tonight is not just another match, it feels like a checkpoint, a moment where either progress continues or anxiety returns. And with transfer rumors swirling, young talents being discussed, leadership questioned, and every performance judged under a microscope, Rangers step onto the park knowing the demand is absolute. Fight, compete, and deliver. And continuing from where we left off, there is a feeling that tonight's match cannot just be about crossing the line and collecting points. It needs to show the supporters something they can believe in, something that sparks the idea that this team is building towards a higher standard. That is what has been missing from so many performances this season. The fans are not asking for miracles, they are asking for clarity. They want to watch a Rangers side that steps onto the park with purpose, intensity, and the intention to control every blade of grass. That is what great Rangers sides of the past did. Naturally, they imposed themselves, they dictated the rhythm, and they refused to treat any opponent as an equal at Ibrox. St Mirren will come to Glasgow with motivation. They know this is the kind of stage where reputations can be made. They will defend deep, look for the counter, and try to frustrate Rangers. The visitors might even take confidence from that unexpected victory the last time they walked out of Ibrox with all 3 points. For Rangers, that memory should sting. It should serve as fuel. Every supporter inside the stadium will remember the silence, the shock, and that uncomfortable feeling that something had slipped. Nights like that cannot become normal, especially not at home. When Rangers lose in front of their own fans, it feels heavier than a defeat. It feels like a warning. That is why the little things matter tonight. The early tackles, the first pass out from the back, the movement from the wingers, the sharpness in the final third. Rangers have to make the visitors feel pressure immediately, not after half an hour. Too many matches this season have drifted through long spells where Rangers recycle possession without purpose, allowing opponents to settle. The tempo has to rise. The transitions must be quicker. It is not enough to have the ball. The team has to show a plan. This is where recruitment talk connects back to the pitch, because the weaknesses we see in real time match the discussions happening off it. When the wide players struggle to stretch the game, the transfer rumours suddenly make more sense. When the forward line is isolated and forced to live on scraps, the desire for a different profile of attacker becomes obvious. Rangers cannot rely on grinding out 1-0 victories forever. There needs to be more aggression in how chances are created, more variation in how the team attacks. If the fullbacks push, the wingers need to use that overlap. If the midfield steps higher, someone has to threaten in behind. The pieces have to fit together, otherwise nothing changes. So when a name like Sunny Soulian appears in the conversation, it hits differently. People are not just talking about a player. They are talking about what the squad is missing. Youth on its own does not fix the issue, but hunger can. Raw talent can. A player brave enough to take on defenders can. Rangers have signed footballers before who were unknown to most supporters and went on to become favourites. That sense of possibility is what keeps these rumours alive. Even if Soulian is not the answer, the club still needs someone who forces defenders to panic, someone who lives for 1-versus-1 duels and actually believes they can change a match. But recruitment is only one part. The players already here have to rise. The manager has to make decisions that send a message. If someone has not performed, they should not start just because they have more experience. If a younger player has shown energy and commitment, then reward them. The supporters respect effort. They respect bravery. They respect players who take responsibility rather than waiting for someone else to carry the burden. That is how Ibrox has always been. It demands that every player earns their place. Looking at the likely team sheet tonight, there are questions everywhere. Who leads the line? Who brings balance to midfield? Who keeps their place out wide? The decisions made today could shape the next month, and the importance of that cannot be ignored when the season still hangs in the balance. A victory tonight is one thing. A performance that restores belief is another entirely. The fans want both. They deserve both. The league table remains tight enough that every drop point feels like a disaster, but close enough that a run of victories could change everything. That is why matches like this one become psychological battles as much as tactical ones. Rangers need to step onto the pitch with the confidence of a team that intends to climb, not one that is worried about falling. If the first 20 minutes are aggressive, if chances arrive early, if the crowd gets involved, then Ibrox turns into a force. When that stadium is alive, it becomes more than a ground. It becomes a weapon. And perhaps that is the bigger message surrounding this match. The supporters have not turned their backs. The frustration is real, but so is the loyalty. The atmosphere is waiting to explode. It just needs the players to give it something to believe in. A win tonight does not fix everything, but it could ignite something. It could mark a shift from surviving matches to controlling them. It could be the night someone new steps forward, someone unexpected, someone who decides they are tired of waiting for the season to settle, because Rangers cannot continue living on the edge of narrow victories. They need authority, they need identity, and they need it now, not in a month or in the summer. That is why the spotlight is so intense. That is why every rumor feels important. That is why tonight matters the way it does. The supporters are watching, demanding, hoping, and expecting. The team has a chance to answer, and the stadium will be ready to roar if they do. And with all of that said, tonight feels like the type of match where someone has to seize the moment, not just wait for it, but take it. Whether it comes from a midfielder threading a pass between the lines or a winger finally beating his marker and delivering the ball into a dangerous area, Rangers need actions that spark momentum. The kind of moments that turn frustration into belief. That is what supporters crave: signs of intention, signs of personality, signs that the badge on the chest still carries weight. If Rangers can start with initiative, force St. Mirren backwards and pin them in early, the dynamic changes completely. Suddenly, the visitors are the ones thinking about damage control, and Rangers are playing on the front foot rather than reacting. A fast start can wake up the atmosphere, drag the team into rhythm, and make Ibrox feel like a place where opponents come to suffer, not settle. Too many matches this season have drifted without that energy. Tonight is a chance to flip that narrative and remind everyone what it looks like when Rangers decide the tempo. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Rangers are reportedly facing a storm of speculation after their star player's sudden departure, leaving fans and pundits alike scrambling for answers. The club's manager, RÖHL, has been unusually candid in his comments, stating bluntly, "I cannae day anything he wanted to leave," a remark that has only fueled the fires of conjecture surrounding the circumstances of the exit. Sources close to the squad suggest that behind the scenes, tensions may have been simmering for some time. Whispers of discontent have circulated, hinting that the players' ambitions could have been at odds with the club's long-term plans. Some insiders claim the move may be financially motivated, while others point to personal reasons as the driving factor. Regardless, the decision has seemingly caught many by surprise, with supporters still coming to terms with the loss of one of their brightest talents. RÖHL's statement, though short, has been interpreted in multiple ways. Some view it as a resignation to inevitability, implying that the player had made up his mind long before the transfer talk began. Others see it as a subtle critique, suggesting that the club may have missed the chance to retain him. The lack of further detail has left the media and fan forums buzzing with theories ranging from disagreements over contract terms to a desire for a new challenge in a different league. Amid the rumors, the club's approach to future signings and squad rotation has also become a talking point. Analysts are speculating on whether Rangers will act swiftly to fill the void left by their star, or if RÖHL intends to give younger talent a chance to step up. Meanwhile, fans are left to debate whether the exit signals deeper issues within the dressing room or is simply the natural ebb and flow of football life. Whatever the truth may be, the saga has certainly captured the imagination of the Scottish football community. As questions linger over the player's next destination, Rangers supporters can only watch and wonder whether this departure will mark the start of a new chapter or the beginning of a more turbulent period for the club. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned